KBLA Talk 1580. That means it's time to call me, y'all. 800-920-1580. Happy Friday. We sure have a lot to talk about. I'm pleased to report that on the phone right now we have Kamilah Moore, attorney Kamilah Moore, I should say, who's the chair of the California Reparations Task Force. Good morning, Attorney Moore.
Good morning. How are you, Dominique?
I'm blessed, and I'm glad to hear your voice. How you doing?
Likewise, I'm doing well.
So there was a press conference on yesterday. I saw your statements, powerful statements on your thoughts around what the governor did. And I don't know if you want to share some of that and some of what happened yesterday at the conference itself.
Sure. So yesterday, a coalition of lineage-based reparation supporters, individuals, and organizations, we met outside of Governor Newsom's Los Angeles office, demanding accountability from him and the California Legislative Black Caucus for what occurred, just a month or so ago, in terms of them, working to stall or essentially block two major bills, a bill that would create a reparations fund and a reparations agency. And so, yes, I made a statement saying that, I'm really deeply dismayed by, the actions of Governor Newsom's administration and the COBC, because after years of work, the task force, which I was the chairperson of, we provided very strong recommendations for reparations, which led Senator Stephen Bradford to introduce SB 1403 and SB 1331 to create that reparations agency and fund for descendants of enslaved people. And without his consent, essentially, the Black Caucus blocked those two bills, and troubling enough, also kind of attempted to divert, reparations funds elsewhere. And then to add insult to injury, I mentioned at the press conference that Governor Newsom's administration also attempted to delay progress by proposing a 2-year study, which the community we firmly reject. We believe there should be no more studies, absolutely not. And so, I know Governor Newsom, he signed an apology bill for slavery. And so though that might seem like progress, it really feels empty when it's paired with actions that deny real justice. And then also, to conclude, I just want to make note, I feel like people aren't realizing this, that the public and the press were excluded from that signing ceremony with the governor and the California Legislative Black Caucus, which to me raises further doubts about the apology sincerity. And in fact, under international law, that's kind of where I come from studying reparations. An apology for gross human rights violations like chattel slavery and its afterlife, they must be public and actually paired with material reparations like compensation and restitution, neither of which is the case here. So in all, our demand was to, demand the caucus to reintroduce SB 1403 and SB 1331 the first day they get back to work, and other material reparations bills specifically for descendants of slaves. And then also, lastly, I think we also said that there needs to be ongoing public engagement and accountability from the Black Caucus regarding that $12 million that the governor allocated for reparations legislation implementation in the upcoming fiscal year. I think it's important to follow that money. And then I think only after we actually see true reparations bills enacted, I think we deserve a redo. We deserve a public apology, with press also invited, one that fully acknowledges the harm of slavery and its afterlife in California, as well as the actions by the COBC and Newsom that have obstructed justice for our community.
Yeah, it's really well said. I remember talking with one expert, I'm blanking on his name right now, who told me a real apology requires you to say, you're sorry, what you're sorry for, what you're sorry about, how we know you're not going to do it again, and and a meaningful, and sincere, complete apology, as opposed to saying I'm sorry And before you said that, I did not realize. I mean, before I read it in your statement, I didn't realize that the press was excluded. I didn't realize that the public was excluded. So that's like me saying I'm sorry to you in my closet, in a whisper, right? Does that really count?
Right. No, that's a brilliant comparison. And no, it doesn't count at all.
Yeah. So I mean, I love that idea of having them do it again once they pass at least the Freedmen's Bureau, and in the funding mechanism that we already had on the table. At least once they pass that, then let's have the apology while you sign those. Um, Jaguar Wright of all people apparently stating that she doesn't believe the California governor believes in reparations or intends to do anything meaningful around it. I know she can be over the top, but um, is that what you think?
Well, I mean, I didn't think that when I initially, was appointed to the task force by Speaker of the State Assembly, Anthony Rendon. I thought Newsom was sincere. He's the one who signed this legislation to create this task force and this, forward progress. However, again, I'm just very disappointed in, his actions to want to advocate for a 2-year additional study instead of advocating for a full agency. His actions vetoing, reparations bills as well. It seems like he might be getting cold feet. But reparations is a sacred political justice claim. It deserves better than what he's actually given to this moment.
Yeah. And speak a little bit more on the veto of that land restitution bill, where in fact he went so far as to say that because there was no Freedmen's Bureau, he couldn't sign it without the bureau. That he actually actively played a role in tanking, and also that it would be, quote, impossible to implement.
Yeah, and then to Jaguar Wright's point, then it seems like she's right, because when I read the veto letter where he vetoed the land reclamation bill, I was astounded that his reasoning was, I can't sign this land reclamation bill because the agency bill never made it to my desk, and thus the agency would be non-existent, rendering this bill defunct. And to me, it kind of showed, I don't want to say nefarious, but I guess it is, because, he's taking advantage of a lot of people not knowing all of the details. And so people, are going to give him the benefit of the doubt, so to speak, and go with what he's saying, not realizing the true story behind it, right? The agency is non-existent. That bill didn't get to his desk in part because of his own actions, because of his office's own actions. That part, he's not willing to divulge and share.
Right, that he wanted to turn it into a study rather than an actual agency or whatever he was trying to do. Um, I guess, we've got some other folks. Well, at least we have Yvette Porter Moore, who's going to speak on what happened yesterday, and we have some other folks that are calling in. But I want to be really clear here and make sure that we also highlight the calls to action. Yesterday's press conference was a coalition of different organizations calling for reparations, responding to what's happened so far, not just by the California Legislative Black Caucus, but by the governor. And I'll tell you, I think Governor Newsom, I think he meant to sign it when he signed it. I think he probably believes somewhere in his mind that we do deserve reparations. But I feel like as a politician, thinking about his own future, that being, quote unquote, saddled with a reputation as being the person who granted us any kind of substantive reparations would be harmful to his career. That's really what I think it is. And maybe that's something that dawned on him during the process. Or maybe he thought it wouldn't move this fast and he'd already be out of office by the time we put a Freedmen's Bureau on his desk. And it was like, wait, I really have to do this? That's my take.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's shown that he doesn't, I guess, want to be the first person to, sign a material reparations bill. And that's unfortunate because, a lot of the Black community, we have long memory. And a lot of us, we were in support of Newsom, even particularly if he wanted to run for president, and just don't see that support being there.
Yeah, I feel like he's lost us. I mean, especially this last thing with the restitution bill. Now you're playing in our face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the calls to action, what were the calls to action coming out of that press conference?
Yeah, so the calls to action essentially were for folks to join the organizations as part of the coalition, right? CJEC, NAASD, LEAP, Africatown, BLMLA. It's time to build power, mobilize, because the state legislators get back to work at the end of this year. They'll be introducing bills very soon. So the next steps is to get engaged so that we can be ready to go even before they get to work, and putting the appropriate pressure on them to introduce the bills we want to see at the outset of this upcoming legislative session.
Love that. Introduce the bills we want to see in the way we want to see them, not some little whack version that you pulled out of your neck. I think that I love the call to join organizations. Can you list those organizations again? Because I always feel like we're stronger inside of a collective than outside.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the lead organizations is CJEC, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. Their website is cjec-official.org. There's also the Lineage Equity and Advancement Project, the National Assembly for American Slavery Descendants, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, Africatown Coalition. And I have a website, KamilahMoore.com, non-organizations, but I do have a mailing list. So
and lots of info. You have lots of info, too, which is also important. KamilahMoore.com. I really appreciate you calling this morning and just all the work that you are doing and have done around this super important issue.
Thank you so much, Dominique, for the time. Really appreciate you and your voice.
Yeah, we're taking your phone calls, and we're going to hear from more folks from the press conference when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin Ultra Strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Okay. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and Clear Skin, count me in. With Skyrizi Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's Freedman Friday all day today. Well, really every Friday. But you are invited in 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. Morris Phillips in the chat says, reparations. Let's start with our churches. We shouldn't be afraid of our Black Madonna. We should embrace her. Okay. I want to introduce now Yvette Porter Moore. She's an expert genealogist, and she was part of yesterday's press conference as well. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. So tell me what you were trying to convey. I mean, when I think of press conference, I don't immediately think genealogist.
Right, exactly. So I was asked to come and, bring support to the cause of reparations. So in my discussion, I spoke about that we did not need any more studies for reparations, as that work has already been done, just like Kamilah Moore just stated. And so therefore, I brought up the fact that there were, I believe it's 1,100 pages of a study that was completed and very impactful. And then on top of that, 111 pages of recommendations for the legislature.
Yeah, I mean, so you're over the study phase, and I'm assuming you're addressing that to the governor, since that's what he wanted to take the $12 million and use it for.
Exactly. So it doesn't need to be done. It's already been done. I mean, I was like, well, why are we beating a dead horse? It just doesn't make any sense. Let's just move on, And like, I'm done with it. So the other thing was discussing lineage-based research. I believe that it does need to be conducted. It's very important that we do this because everybody needs to know the descendants of chattel slavery. We need to know exactly where our heritage lies. And we can do that by using DNA and using the records that are available.
Well, you know what? While I have you, even though I know this isn't it's not what you called in for, but initially, well, not initially, but somewhere in the middle of my reparations journey, I started worrying that a strict focus on lineage may end up excluding a lot of people. And what I mean by that are unhoused people, people who, not because I think anybody and everybody should just, get reparations from the United States, but just because I'm concerned about what I call the welfareization of reparations. As a little kid who was on food stamps, that's what we used to call it back then. I know what it's like to be in a welfare office and be shamed and given the bureaucratic runaround and drowned in paperwork and made, to feel like crap. And I don't want that to be reparations. And so that's what I've been concerned about from the lineage standpoint. And I'm sure you have something to say about that.
Exactly. So there does need to be some safety nets that are available for individuals that are unhoused and are adopted or have been in the foster care system. And since we have DNA, so there are individuals that don't know exactly who they are. Like, for instance, I am adopted, and I did that that journey. Search. I found my birth family, and it's a little more difficult because I am a person of mixed race, and so my on my black side I was able to trace to Mississippi, and I was able to get further back, but at the same time I was researching my father's my adopted parents' family, and I was able to get further back, and the records are there. We need to be able to do this work. So I'm trying to think of something more personal now. I had a foster daughter.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I had a foster daughter, and her biological father had passed away, and so I started research on him. She knew his name and all of that, and so I was able to get back his information back to the plantation. I mean, there are ways of getting this.
What about
done.
People who did, like people who ran right from enslavement and went into maroon communities, people who bought their freedom or quote unquote stole their freedom and ended up changing their names and doing which is not at all uncommon, right, to get away from slave catchers and other ridiculous laws. I mean, there's a lot of different stories in the stories of the people that escaped or found their way out of enslavement. And I worry about all of those folks being somehow not considered eligible.
Well, I think that they could be considered eligible as long as we are able to do like a DNA test, because sometimes you're correct, the surnames are not going to match up with any records. So it's going to be very important for us to pinpoint it through DNA, because those individuals may be attached to white people, or they may be attached to their own Black roots. And and we can trace those back into other,
Yeah, I mean, Monique Wade in the chat says the records are there, and I had someone yelling at me on Twitter saying, all you have to do is look at the census. But I believe that's BS, because there are people who actually evaded the census and evaded the records as part of maintaining our freedom. So we're going to have to be a little less simplistic than that.
Well, there are a lot of other records, like tax records, plantation records, insurance, trust wills, and land records, and then the manifest. I would say the records when they came across. I mean, we have to follow the money trail. And the people that owned us would have.
That sounds crazy. Yeah. No, I mean, and honestly, I'm not speaking for me. I actually have a photograph going all the way back to my enslaved family members. Not a lot of, incredibly, so there's not a lot of, research needed. But for me, I just don't want to disenfranchise entire swaths of our of our community. Anyway, I don't know if you want to stick around through news, traffic, and sports. If not, you can take these 30 seconds and close out. Otherwise, I'll see you on the other side.
Okay, I'll just wait. That'll be fine.
Yeah, and all are welcome. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I personally believe that the lineage conversation and the investigations are part of our healing, right? Because part of, for me, spiritual and mental health healing is reclaiming our lineage, our heritage, our ancestors. I'd love to hear from you. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A record-breaking heat wave will impact the Southwest and California coast throughout the entire weekend. Phoenix is expected to see temperatures reach nearly 110 degrees every day through Sunday. Las Vegas will also see temperatures get above 100 each day. African-American singer Mariah Carey says it's a little too early to celebrate the Christmas holiday. The self-proclaimed Queen of Christmas posted a video on social media showing her lounging in a private jet when her song, All I Want for Christmas, starts playing in the background. The pilot gets on the loudspeaker and says the jet is headed to the North Pole. Carey shouts back, "Not yet," and says she won't be rushed. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 news, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA preseason schedule tips off this weekend for the Lakers and Clippers. The Lakers are on the court tonight against Minnesota in Palm Springs. A lot of eyes will be on new Lakers coach J.J. Redick to see if he puts LeBron and his son Bronny on the floor at the same time. The Clippers play their first preseason game tomorrow against Golden State in Honolulu. The Dodgers have some work to do to satisfy their fan base. They've had the best record in the major leagues the past 2 years, but have failed to get past the divisional round of the National League playoffs. The Dodgers are 1-6 in their last 2 playoff series. They were eliminated by Arizona last year and by the Padres in 2022. The Dodgers and Padres meet up again in the best-of-5 divisional round beginning Saturday. The Rams are facing a must-win situation Sunday against Green Bay to avoid a 1-4 start. The Chargers have a bye week. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit ca-smp-volunteer.org.
And that chill in the air means one thing. It's truck season!
Just 5 more minutes.
No snoozing. You've got so much to do. So do it all in a Chevy Colorado or Silverado, including the HD or class-leading 440-mile range of the Silverado EV.
Wait, what? Are you talking to me?
Yes! Picture it. Work, play, hauling gear, off-roading. A Chevy truck can take whatever you can throw at it, including tailgating in an actual tailgate!
I mean, homecoming is just around the corner. Oh, and showing up in a new truck?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Get things done and look good doing it.
Okay, I'm up. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Without offering me a ride? That's cold.
It's Chevy truck season. Head to your local Chevy dealer and get 0% financing on all 2024 Silverado pickups when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
0% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $27.78 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 9.3%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 10/31/24.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the AmeriCAN Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the AmeriCAN program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The AmeriCAN Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriCANCommunity.partners. That's AmeriCANCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
And today at Scholarly Match is you. I'm talking with you and also right now, Yvette Porter Moore, a genealogist. And you were sort of beginning to answer what I was asking about making sure we track everyone. People think about the census and they talk about insurance companies, which is legit because they did detail us as cargo or property. But there are a lot of us did escape, get outside the system, bought our freedom, ran to freedom, changed our names. You know what I mean? And so you were talking about the many ways that we can get around that. And I know our ancestors are smiling because we are starting to look for them.
You are correct. And the thing is like a lot of this work that's done, it is done in the spirit. And a lot of times the ancestors are making things happen for us. And that's one of the things that, just miraculously things, happen.
Yes.
So in this field of doing genealogy, we also not only do the paperwork, we also do the DNA. And so you don't rely on just one. You also look at other people's family trees and how one connects to another. And so that way we can build other people's heritage, their ancestry, and find who they belong to.
Molly Bell says to all, this is a good time to go to Big Mama and Big Mama's house and get those Bibles and old letters to get information. And I think that's such a great point. We forget to interview our elders, to talk to them, to get whatever stuff they have, which is really evidence, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we, as a people, oral history is a big thing, and we do carry those stories, and we should continually give those stories to our descendants, to those that are under us, because a lot of times they do match up,
Yeah.
And that's a form of documentation.
Absolutely. Okay, look, I took you down this rabbit hole, but I think it's an important rabbit hole, and maybe one day you'll come back and sit down with me. I'd love to do a whole genealogy show. Meanwhile, land for me, give me just your summary of what we needed to know about yesterday's press conference in front of the governor's office around reparations.
Okay, well, basically enough doing this research. It's already been done. We need to have a reparations agency with, educated genealogists and those that do the work so that we can help individuals get the reparations that they are due, and we just need to push forward. Enough is enough. I mean, our ancestors, did enough and for free. And it's time to cut the check.
Yeah, 12 generations should be about enough. I appreciate the call, Yvette Porter Moore, and the conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to Fahima calling me from Washington, D.C. Good morning.
Habarigani and K. Pasa, Dominique, can you hear me?
Habarigani reparations, Fahima. I do hear you.
Yeah, I want to make a couple of points. I agree with a lot of your guest, Professor Muhammad, shared. And then I want to make a couple other points. But there are a few things I do want to push back on. One, not unlike the Institute, right? NCOBA was the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. Mari Obadeli wanted to bring all these groups that were fighting for reparations together, Republic of New Africa and other groups. So it wasn't like it was just this one gun-toting Pan-Africanist group that said we're getting reparations for Black people. He saw people working towards this.
Sorry, go ahead.
And his vision was to bring all of these groups together under one umbrella.
Right. But I just want to interject here and say my comment was based on what I have, people I've talked to on this show, and I see a lot of folks that just don't even want to hear anything from lineage organizations, and I just think it's a mistake.
Well, there's nothing that you had said, so I just wanted to clear that up because people who are new to this aren't aware that this was a coalition of groups that where everyone was welcome.
Gotcha.
Also, and I, as a college student, I was involved as a college student, so there were young people that were involved in that movement. And everybody wasn't a Pan-Africanist because Charles Ogletree and Johnny Cochran were part of the legal commission who were working on the legal aspect when I stepped away. The other thing is I wanted to share was that the Institute's effort comes out of the work that Dr. Silas Muhammad did with the Durban Conference Against Racism, this international effort, and it is not a counter to what's being done locally with the states nor the federal. See, some people are saying it's either or. No, it's both and, because I sent you Ta-Nehisi Coates' case of reparations.
Yeah, I read that when it came out, actually.
Right. He testified at the reparations hearing that Sheila Jackson Lee had. And so it's not just the state or just the federal. It's a whole host. And reparations is a very complex thing. And if California wants to deal with things on a lineage base, that is their right. However, in other instances where people were harmed, for example, the Tuskegee Airmen who we herald, there were Black people that were attending Tuskegee who were from Trinidad, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and of course African Americans, and they didn't get their veterans benefit. Okay, and so if and when they decide to give the descendants of those people compensation for what were denied to their ancestors because of their harm, there should be no litmus test. If people were harmed, they were harmed. Also, you mentioned folks who left. There were people who left and went to Liberia. Harriet Tubman's ancestors went to Liberia. They were amongst them. the people who went to Liberia. In fact, the former, he was a longstanding president of Liberia, and he was a relative of Harriet Tubman. And because of civil war, which I'm not going to get into the reason.
Right. So I need you to kind of land for me because I've got some breaking news. But yeah, I got you.
Okay. Yeah, those people who came back as refugees, they fled to Liberia because they were enslaved, and those that went to Canada. So I think people who were harmed need to be compensated, and I will just land there.
Okay, thank you, Fahima. You always give us some good conversation. I got two breaking news stories. One is, what are you going to do with all that toilet paper you bought? Because apparently that port strike has ended. Workers have agreed to a tentative deal on wages and contract extensions. So that is huge. That's the Union for Dock Workers and the United States Maritime Alliance have agreed on wages. They've extended their contract through January 15th so they can negotiate a deal. That the other breaking news, which it's wow. Is that Mayor Karen Bass, according to the LA Times, has selected Jim McDonnell as the new LAPD chief. Wow. If that is true, and I don't know why they would be reporting it if it wasn't, that is surprising. This guy was the sheriff. Failed to do anything significant to address deputy gangs. And he was with the LAPD for 28 years before becoming the sheriff. He lost to Alex Villanueva. I was hoping that she would appoint Chief Amada Tingarides, and we'd have the first woman, the first black woman, and somebody who's dedicated to community policing. I know she was considering Arco, who would have been the first Latino, which I would think would be a bad choice because he donated to the campaign of Kevin De Leon, which to me, an anti-black council member is not, if you feel like putting your money towards him, to me, that means you're automatically disqualified from being a legit chief of police. But really surprising. Breaking news here, and we just have a few minutes left today. If you want to weigh in, 800-920-1580. Certainly we'll unpack this more on Monday, and we'll have more solid information as to whether that is actually true. I believe, though, if the LA Times is making that report, I'm sure they have reason to do so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
With reported hate crimes rising in recent years, California has responded through outreach efforts across state government and in collaboration with community-based organizations for the launch of CA versus Hate. This non-emergency, multilingual hate crime and incident reporting hotline provides an anonymous reporting option for victims and witnesses of hate acts reported in 15 different languages through the online portal and in over 200 languages when calling the hotline. Report anonymously by calling 833-866-4283. Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or online at any time at cavshate.org.
Dr. Renee here. Did you know this time of year is considered peak asthma season because we typically see a spike in asthma-related hospitalizations? If you have asthma and are having difficulty breathing despite medication, it's time to check in with your doctor so you can help avoid landing yourself in the hospital this season. To learn more about managing your asthma, visit www.luma-edu.com. That's LUMA-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
That morning chill means truck season.
5 more minutes.
No snoozing. Do it all in a Chevy Colorado or Silverado, including the class-leading range of the Silverado EV.
Talking to me?
Work, play, hauling, off-roading, a Chevy truck can take it all.
Okay, I'm up.
Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 and Colorado pickups when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 24.5%. Plus finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/24.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And to me, if this is in fact the case that Mayor Bass is appointing Jim McDonald, who served a term as sheriff, and the LA Times is saying, because he's led a large agency, it bodes well for him being able to step in, and handle this job. He's led the sheriff's department. But while he was chief of police in Long Beach, officer-involved shootings went up, right? Failed to fix or even address the sheriff's gangs problem. Lost to Alex Villanueva in his re-election for sheriff. And to be honest with you, it feels like this appointment says business as usual is fine. Business as usual is fine. And business as usual is not fine. The LAPD continues to kill black people at a rate that is always among the top 3 nationally, and people in general. Make it make sense. Kevin from LA, you have the floor.
How you doing, Dominique? Thank you very much. Yes, that is a very bad choice. I mean, it looks like... Well, my name is Kevin Morton Price. I'm from the Africatown Coalition. And it looks like L.A. may, wind up having a problem once again with LAPD as a result of this appointment. But, Africatown Coalition is definitely going to be monitoring this appointment and, his rollout in the city. And so we'll definitely be having some things to say about that.
But I don't... Okay, so what do you make of it? Like, why do you suppose she made this decision?
Well, just from I guess you can say community, and I don't know how she look at community safety, I guess, in so many ways, but the Olympics is coming up, right? And so, I think they need somebody that can strong arm, the city and make sure that everything is going to be flowing properly when the time comes, So we're forward thinking. We're looking at, the Olympics. We're looking at a lot of the, what do you call those programs that they're trying to start? Or
we got so much. We got the World Cup coming. We got the All-Star Game, the Super Bowl, and the Olympics. Kevin, why do you think it's a bad choice? What is it about Jim McDonald that you don't like?
Well, Africatown Coalition was in the streets while the police gangs were out there murdering people, right? And as you say, he was the head of the sheriff department, and we did a lot of our work was, in the Lenox area and the sheriff, area control areas. And there was no restraint. These officers, these killer, these were killer officers. They would just stand there and look at you, like, yeah, well, we did that. And, you'd often see them at repeated scenes. And see, that was when you mean
you're seeing the same problem officers, in scene after scene after scene. Yeah, that makes sense.
Scene after scene, and it's like, okay, we got something going here on the inside where, they're clicked up. So we've always looked at the gang issue inside the sheriff department, and this is a terrible choice for LA. I think what's going to happen is that.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, please.
I think what's going to happen is that those elements that have been suppressed in the LAPD, they're going to now be freer to come out and express themselves and maybe even reestablish some old habits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you, Kevin, for the call and for your insights. I can't get my mind around it. He tried to be LAPD chief twice and failed, was sheriff, didn't get reelected, was Long Beach police chief. We saw a rise in officer-involved shootings. I mean, we can't, I guess you could say the good side is he knows the department. He was in it for 28 years. But it feels like an affirmation of business as usual. Let's go to Morris, calling from Inglewood.
Inglewood. Hey, check this out, Dominique. Let me ask you a question. Give me a yes or no answer, because folks always want to qualify their answer before they give you the yes or no answer. Do you think it makes a difference having a black mayor or a black chief of police when it comes to policing black people in this country?
I do think it makes a difference, but it depends on the black mayor. If we had Mayor Clarence Thomas, that would not be good. I think a Mayor Karen Bass makes a difference. I mean, she's a community organizer. I was on the board of her organization when she founded it. She knows the problems and challenges in our community. She understands the dichotomies and the seeming contradictions, i.e., you have a lot of elders, or I guess I'm supposed to call them older Americans now, who want to see policing because it makes them feel safer. But you have a lot of others that feel less safe with more police presence and what that balance means. I know that as a black mama, she understands our concerns, with police shooting our children and killing them and harassing them and criminalizing them. But, so yeah, it does make a difference. A mayor, a police chief, I don't know, because I feel that a lot of times police chiefs are trained in blue to the point where they lose their black cards and their priority becomes blue, which is why we see black police officers killing black people at actually higher rates than others. Your thoughts, Morris?
I vehemently disagree with you, Dominique. I think it's institutionalized. I think when black people get into a position of power, they forget that they're black and they forget who they serve. And that's just an opinion. We all got one. And thank you for this moment, Dominique. I love you.
Oh, I love you more. And I'm here for disagreement. We agree to disagree. We can disagree without disrespect most days. And this is how we make our gray matter stronger. I do not disagree with you about the institutionalization. That's why I said I don't know that it makes a difference for police chiefs. I suppose that would depend on the level of their consciousness and their commitment to that consciousness, because that's why KRS-One wrote a song called Black Cop. That's why the data seems to show many black cops, African-American cops, killing more people. Maybe it's because they're trying to prove themselves, get jumped into the blue gang. I do not know. But what I know right now is that's not even the issue or topic of conversation. There was only one black candidate in the running for police chief, the final three. And that was Amada Tingarides, who has a long time track record in community policing. And so it's a different orientation towards law enforcement, which would have indicated not just, okay, we're going with a black woman, we've never had a woman before, but also would indicate a commitment to a different school of thought when it comes to policing. The reason that I am so disappointed about Jim McDonnell as the pick is because it seems to say business as usual works fine for me. Business as usual with the LAPD means raining death, destruction, profiling, harassment, and criminalization on our community. And that's not okay with me. And I don't think it should be okay with you. Look, I'm not one to tell you how to think. I want you to use your own head. That's why we all have one. But to me, the symbolism of this is problematic. Now, of course, I will love to hear what the mayor has to say about it, and I'm sure we will be hearing shortly why she made this choice. And I'm hoping that she can miraculously convince me that this was a good idea. But as of right now, I don't think so. All right, family, it's time for me to go and have a margarita or something. I barely drink. I don't know why I said that. It's the feeling of TGIF. The best of Tavis Smiley is on next. And boy, there's a lot of good in that best this week. A lot of great in that best this week. Let's keep the conversation going on social media. You can find me at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. You can find us at KBLA 1580 on all platforms. Find Miles at Miles Low Music. By the way, DiPrima Radio is now on TikTok. So give me a follow if you would. And, you know, we got a lot to talk about, so let's keep it going all weekend long. I shall see you back here on Monday. I'm Dominique DiPrima. History is now, and we are making it together. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest